Good morning. So it's my understanding that your legislation, Ms. Senator and State Rep, that your legislation would allow the exemptions to exist, still to exist. The only thing that is prohibited is that the officer cannot have sexual penetration.
That is correct, Representative. The existing exemption would remain, and of course this committee would be within its power to investigate that if they think further exemptions to the exemption are necessary. But this legislation addresses only exempting from the exemption from prosecution if a law enforcement officer were to actually have sexual intercourse with a victim of human trafficking or a prostitute.
Okay. Do you think this language is broad enough? I mean, the services of a prostitute are not limited solely to penetration. I mean, you understand that. We're not that naive, are we? I mean, there are other ways of having sexual gratification with a prostitute other than penetration. And so this gives the officer license to engage in those other practices, such as a hand job. I could list 100 or so ways of having sexual gratification with a prostitute, and none of them are addressed. So do you think this bill is really meaningful?
Representative, I am happy to have this committee investigate and amend the legislation however they see fit to address the issue as intended. Okay. I'm fairly familiar with child sexual abuse legislation, which defines penetration broadly.
It just limits it to penetration. What you're saying to the officer in the we don't want you having sex or fellatio or cunnilingus, but you can do anything else you want with the prostitute, and you'll have a defense.
Well, again, Mr. Chairman and Representative, I have no problem if this committee sees fit to adopt more expansive language that would address the intent of the bill.